Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna have a look at the Moonman A2. Moonman introduced the A1, which is the copy of the regular Pilot vanishing point, about 4 years ago, and sometime after that they created this A2 Pilot Decimo clone. Let's have a look at it in more detail. On the top of the pen we see the trapdoor enclosed in what I assume is plastic. The black metal clip is then attached to this black plastic. It's a little bit stiff, so it does not get full points for functionality from me. The section/body has 20 facets. At the narrowest point it's about 10 millimeters wide and then tapers up slightly to 12 millimeters. Next to this black plastic trim ring we also see a print Moonman. The body then tapers down towards the click button. The clicking mechanism sounds and feels a little bit different than the one on the Pilot vanishing point, but that does not mean it's necessarily worse. Here on the bottom, where button meets the body, we see some injection molding marks. We can access the filling mechanism and the nib by simply unscrewing this bottom part, and here it is. The nib is the same shape as the one on Pilot vanishing point. Here we see the steel Moonman nib marked Moonman EF next to the original vanishing point nib. Let's look at the feeds. The Pilot feed has a slightly different shade of black plastic, but when it comes to the shape they are practically identical. Also, the rest of these nib and filling mechanism units are almost completely identical, down to the holes on the bottom. Moonman also uses Pilot compatible cartridges and converters in these pens, and you also get one in the package included with the pen. So with the pen you get this cartridge with a plug at the end, you get a little eyedropper and a Pilot compatible converter. And here's the Moonman converter on top compared to the Pilot Con40 converter on the bottom. You can also swap the internal units, so a Pilot internal unit will work in the Moonman pen without any issues, and the Moonman unit will work in a Pilot vanishing point or Decimo pen. Inside this top part with the button we can see plastic threads with a brass insert, so these plastic threads will screw onto metal threads here, which might be a potential point of failure, so be careful with not cross-threading the pen. Overall, it's a slightly worse build than what we see on Pilot vanishing point, but for the money I think this is pretty adequate, even good. The only quality issue that I've noticed so far is that the trapdoor doesn't seal very well. Just a couple of days and you can already experience hard starts. The nib dries out relatively fast, so this is a pen that you have to use pretty much every day. It weighs 21 grams and with the nib retraced it's 14.1 centimeters long. With the nib extended it's 13.9 centimeters long, which is plenty for comfortable writing. Okay, let's have a look how it writes. So the pen is the Moonman A2, the nib is extra fine, and the ink is diamine blue black. The nib has a little bit of feedback, but nothing unexpected for such a fine line. Let's have a look at hard starts. There is no issues in any of the directions, even though we could see that the ink did not flow properly 100% in some places. Let's check for skipping issues again. Again, there are some really minor skipping issues like here or here, but nothing that would make the pen unpleasant to use for normal everyday writing. When it comes to wetness, it's about what would one expect for such a fine nib. Maybe it could be tuned a little bit to be slightly better, but I think it's fine as is. When it comes to flex, this nib is much stiffer than my medium vanishing point nib. You will really not get much line variation out of it. When it comes to reverse, it works and you get just a slightly finer line than when you are writing with it normally. The issue is that because of the clip, the pen is really unpleasant to use in reverse. The nib also does not have much character when it comes to horizontal and vertical strokes. They are pretty much identical. Overall, the nib is a little bit boring and uninspiring, but that might be what you are looking for. Ergonomically, I think it's fine. I don't mind the clip. I'm used to my vanishing point and I don't mind the clip on the vanishing point either. I just prefer the slightly thicker body of the vanishing point for my large hands. So if you think you would be okay with the clip, then maybe think if you want a slightly slimmer body or the slightly wider body. If you want something wider, you can get a Moonman A1, which is a copy of the vanishing point. Overall, I like the pen quite a bit. You have to decide if you are fine with buying a pen that's a copy of another pen. I bought this pen mostly to compare it to my vanishing point. This one sells for about $20–25 on eBay or AliExpress, and I think that's a really good deal for this pen. Ergonomically, it works well enough. The nib does not have any major issues. Regarding construction quality, it looks fine to me, even though it's visibly worse than the original. I also like that you get a converter and a cartridge with a plug, and I can use this with my Pilot pens. What I don't like so much, apart from it being basically an almost identical copy, I wish there were more nib options for this pen. Moonman currently only sells fine and extra fine. I'm not sure if this pen will last as long as a Pilot vanishing point, but so far I did not encounter any issues with the pen falling apart or anything like that. The pen also feels slightly cheap. Maybe it's just the plastic, maybe it's the injection molding marks being visible, but for the price I'm not going to complain too much. The biggest issue, however, is that the nib dries out really fast. I wish that Moonman improved it in the future. So if you want to buy a Pilot Decimo or the Vanishing Point, maybe give Moonman A1 or A2 a chance if you can't test the Vanishing Point anywhere, or if you just want a retraceable fountain pen and you are okay with it being a copy, then it's also great. That's all from me today. I'll see you next time. Bye!